Hi guys, I'm Shua. Today I'm going to start a YouTube channel with my first video being my favorite digital drawing of all time. This is the drawing and we're going to break down how I did it. Let's start off with a preface that I am a full-blown cheater. Yes, I traced the proportions of the person because I don't draw anatomy well. However, I am trying to change that, so stick around to see me on my journey. Now we sketched the cape, which was probably the part that required the most effort and the most shading, because fabric is very difficult. Moving on, we sketched the body, the other arm, which ended up getting scrapped, the tool belt, which was probably the funnest part to do, most fun part to do. Funnest is no word for some godforsaken reason. Then we did something called a grayscale map, mapping out which areas are going to be dark, which areas are going to be light. This helps you get a feel for what you're drawing. Next, we move on to the base colors of every piece of the robot, which are the base colors. And you can see flashing back and forth in between the two, grayscale map and the base color map. Next, we move on to the fur on the coat. This was pretty fun to do. I did this at an art show in September. Yes, I sat at the art show while I was waiting for customers to come and buy my posters, and drew the fur on the coat. In hindsight, I should have finished this drawing before the art show, so I could have sold it, but I wouldn't have enough time to print it anyway. Anyway, now that the fur was almost done, I finished up with some finishing details. Then I got the base colors down for the actual coat and cape that is blowing in the wind. This was the easiest part of the 2-hour process, that was drawing the cape. Just getting in the dark shaded areas versus the light shaded areas to show where the light hits and where the light doesn't hit. There were several iterations of dark and light on different parts of the actual cape. For the sake of time, I will speed up until we get to doing the details on the cape. Now moving on, we did the details on the cape, mainly small highlights here and there, and little bits of detail on the folds to show that it's really alive and it's really moving and it's a real cloth that's been tattered and worn down. Moving on, I did more details on the cape. Some more details on the cape. The cape took 2 hours to do. It was probably the most detailed part of this drawing and probably what brings it to life, but we can speed past it because it's virtually the same technique. It's just layering of lights and darks over each other to show detail and show the illusion of creases and folds. Moving on, we did the shading for the body. The body I wanted to look like a creased metal, basically tin can that was like crumpled up, like when you crumple up a soda can. Just blocking in here the lights and the darks, where the light hits and where the light is voided. Here we did a ring light around a certain part of the body, which turned out really cool, and as like an illuminated piece on the basically armor of the robot. What do you call armor on a robot? Do you just call it the body or the armor? I don't know. Anyway, feel free to prove my robot anatomy wrong in the comments. Here we made shadows on the cloth to make it look like it was sitting right above the armor. Next, we did a shadow under the ring light to make it look like the light was actually emitting light. Then we did a little light, casting a little bit of light on the arm, like a glow-up arm. Then I just sort of BS'd the hand into existence. Next, we did a technique I like to call color throwing, where you just put blocks of color on the canvas and then smudge them in with the smudge tool to give the illusion of texture and depth. It really works well if you're doing low effort things, but if you really want high detail, you should go in after the color throwing and put in more detail. Color throwing should just be a base. We've seen enough of the body, we can speed through the rest. Moving on, we did this little body thing, this little tank, I guess, on the back. I think came out really cool. Anyway, moving on to one of my favorite parts from the actual process, other than losing my sanity over the cloth, was the tool belt. I drew a little holster, a couple tool boxes, a couple pouches. Next, I put my favorite detail of the entire drawing on here, this little torch on the back, held down by these purple straps, which look really cool. Eventually, we put in a lot of bloom and a lot of gloom to make it look like it's actually lighting up the chassis of the robot. By this point in the project, I was very burnt out from working on this tirelessly, and the effort seemed to drop off on my end, which is completely my fault. And in hindsight, I could have done a way better job. The last real thing I put effort into was, as you just saw, the light on the helmet. I sort of just BS'd the pants in the second hand, sort of willed it into existence with pure color throwing. I did touch it up a little bit and try and put folds in, but nothing seemed to stick, nothing seemed to look good. And with so much detail on the cape, I assumed that the pants would take away the thunder. And overall, I'm pretty happy with the entire project. And here was seeing that I was just touching up some proportionals things. That's all for me. I am doing another character soon, so hopefully you guys will see a video on that shortly.